Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me. Polina here talking to you about the partial lunar eclipse happening on the 28th of October. It is only the 18th now, so we just passed the new moon slash full solar eclipse on the 14th, and it's going to be great to know how to strategize from now on. So, the whole feeling of this eclipse season, as it is the feeling for any eclipse season, is to try to keep the base going. So it's about keeping things going, it's about keeping things in alignment, it's about knowing what is strong, what is natural, what is genuine, and what is going to be kept afterwards. So you basically get to see what is alive, what is genuine, and you need to be okay about it being what it is. I feel that a lot of this time that we're having during these particular years, actually, one of the difficulties is because people don't really like what they've got. People, they don't want to know more of what they've got. They want to do something really outlandish, or they want to create uh, things that are not possible and that could be potentially karmic. So that's something that is a big question, is grace and a certain type of gratitude for what is going on, for things that are keeping tight, keeping together, and that are going naturally and neutrally. And sometimes I've noticed also as a species, we're not very grateful when things are just given to us as well, because we expect them to be not very valuable. We want to fight for something, and then this fight makes that which we're fighting for valuable. You know, it's the hard yards. People can't keep together, people can't keep to themselves because they're wanting something else outside of their circle of friends, outside of their divine experience, outside of what they have and what they've cultivated. We want an outlandish result, which is what sometimes makes us suffer during such an eclipse season. So, the main point is keeping things down low. As I've stated previously a couple of times, Libra this particular year is about continuity and having things at a very perfect balance, not upsetting the balance, not going out there and doing crazy things, keeping things to a simmer. And then eventually it is going to be replaced by Scorpio, of course, which is a time during which the full moon eclipse will be here in Taurus. So that's going to be on the 28th of October and will be way in Scorpio, well in Scorpio. And this particular moon is going to be also conjunct Jupiter, which is quite interesting. But I'll talk about those astrological aspects a little bit later. But nonetheless, Scorpio tries to compact things down. It is a fixed sign, it tries to leave behind a good impression. It wants to make sure that things work for many years to come. It is a sign of certainty, actually, not depletion, even though sometimes Scorpio is known for its chaotic results. The whole point to Scorpio is to leave behind something that lasts and lasts. And just as any fixed sign, the main primarily hope that Scorpio has as an energy is to make sure that things work and that they are viable and that they are durable. You know, so this is basically what this particular eclipse is going to bring: things that grow, things that are fertile also, as this opposition between Scorpio and Taurus is definitely about fertility, and things that bring to light greater and greater results. So overall, although eclipses tend to be kind of a scary time, and it's not needed, fear is not needed, it's not necessary to feel fearful or to feel upset during this time, or worried about, you know, what the spooky eclipse is going to bring. It is necessary, though, for us all, I feel, to understand where we suffer and where things lack fidelity, where they lack meaning, where they lack opportunity or possibility, where things are weak. And for that reason, they are not going to go with us into the next turning of events. And also in terms of human weakness, weakness of character, and weakness of disposition, having too much temper, having an unequal or unbalanced view of life, and having a very unbalanced personality. This is also something that this Taurus full moon is going to bring out in a few people, and we're going to know where things are not hopeful for us or for those other people working with us or dealing with us, because there is infidelity, or there's not enough clarity in the dealings, you know. And of course, we're in a very social year, we are in a rabbit year, and a lot of these social networks and a lot of the ways that people are together and how they hold space together, what they have to offer, and how things are going along nicely and smoothly, really is a huge topic. And it may not be voiced, but we definitely are very picky now. Rabbit year is going to come to an end soon, so we are looking for that result. For example, I want a very safe group of friends, I want a very functional team, I want nothing but connection between me and my family members, I want nothing but good times. So it's also kind of about a certain type of perfection already have been reached in Libra. And now Scorpio really wants us to grow into more fun and more caring and more radiant beings, as it is going to be a very dynamic November that we're going to be going into. So I'll be talking about November a little bit later on, but I also have to say that with this Mars and yes, Mercury and Scorpio, it is going to be not really about trying to pull through or get things going, as sometimes Scorpio is a difficult time, it's a trial and error time, it's an alchemizing time. It is going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and for many, many people, come what may, there's going to need to be a lot of bounciness and a lot of maybe anger or a lot of change in the coming month to be able to suffice and to make things up as we go. So it's like freestyle rapping, for example, or theater arts, like improvisational arts, when you have nothing but the microphone and you got to make it work very quick. So this is what I'm talking about. So November is going to be a very, very freestyle, quick and kind of joyful time, well, hopefully joyful time, as Scorpio is trying to make us notice things for what they are, and he's kind of making fun of things, and he's enjoying this fast, quick, kind of edgy, as we do have Mars there, edgy and sharp energy. That is going to make us go from the previous circumstances to the next. So you've got to be tough, you've got to be kind of flamboyant during the Scorpio season, and you're going to be maybe able to reach some very, very high quality results if you can be loyal to task, and also needed in a group or a circumstance, as it is about form following function during this time of the year, especially in Rabbit year. And it is about having a good, well-rounded business. It's about being the talk of the town. It's about having good, fast, quick, and fresh results. And not a lot of people really know that. Not a lot of people also may be able to nurture that. But I would probably see where things have come to a point and organize during this particular full moon eclipse on the 28th of October as to how to do things better, how to accept and expect more fertility out of your game, how to be more successful. Maybe there are some bullet points you need to take care of, take advantage of. Maybe there's some very quick fix thinking patterns that may help you grow your business or your money or your community. It's a very, very fetching, quick, fast, talkative, curious, and bouncy November. So that means that this particular moon at the end of October is going to be well spent if you try to go into that game plan. It's a little sporty, it's a little arty, it's a little bit decadent as well, because we want more. Because Taurus, especially with Jupiter and Taurus, full moon Jupiter conjunction, it is about safety first, of course, because it is Taurus, safety first, and repetition of certain solid motions, and knowing where you are going to get a result and what does actually work already and what will grow. And then also going into this sort of a dance with Jupiter, understanding that you don't have enough. So this opposition of Sun to Jupiter also is interesting. It's like, I don't really have enough. It's like, I want more. I want more bounce. I want more volume. I want a higher frequency. I want greater friendships. I want more. I want. And sometimes as people, it depends on how you've been brought up and your background, and also sometimes the country that you're from, where it comes to asking, well, actually, I want more. Not everybody really knows how to make that question happen or how to make that happen for them, because that feeling of, I actually want more, but yet again, I also don't want to lose what I've got. I also want safety. That's a very, very big question mark. So there is a very big push to also surrender, So it's kind of a compromising energy. It's like, well, actually, I can't afford more, actually, to be honest. Or I won't be able to work more hours to make more money because I'm not very happy at the moment working or something like that. So sometimes it's a compromise. It's like, I know I want more, but actually, come to think of it, I probably won't be able to afford more or get more. So that's also something that is coming up. We have to understand where we're also foolish in wanting or wishing for certain things. And sometimes it's great to sit down with a spiritual leader or a psychologist or a friend or a community leader, community member, somebody that really knows, and ask them, like, look, I've got all this thinking, I've got all this risk taking, I've got all this ambition, or I've got all this power, or I have these premonitions about who I am and what my life is going to be about. Could you please tell me if I can actually afford to reach that next height? So, this is about special advisors. This is about financial advisors. Maybe this is about like hospitals and communities where people get really, really bad feelings and then they eventually get solved with somebody or by somebody who helps, and who knows exactly how to apply themselves to help heal a person or dress a wound. So it is about a person or people coming also up to the surface that have a certain know-how and have a certain keepsake. So this is also about memorable people. So this is not just a person you see once and forget. This is a person about to change your life. So these people are wanting to change your life, and they also want to instill certain values that are going to be very big and very raw. So sometimes it's not such a good thing. So in terms of the political crisis at the moment, I suppose, also in terms of the war in Israel and Gaza and Palestine, I mean, this is really, really hard. This may mean that there's going to be some kind of sanction, or there's going to be some kind of political, of course, warfare, and a lot of talking and a lot of deciding new plans. So there's going to be new law systems. There's going to be new trusts and new rules. And that sometimes feels very, very good and very smart and very obvious, and sometimes it can feel very dark and very uneven. So these different laws and these different keepsakes, these forever terms, and these long-lasting impressions is, I feel, or what part of this moon is going to be about. So we can't go on just walking as we're walking. We need fertility. We need to fortify those root systems. We need to fortify those friendships. We need to see where the money is going, where the politics are going, where the people are going. We want to understand which way we're going to end up, or which way things are going to go next. So it is about structure and strategy, as Scorpio is always going to be very strategic. But it is not just about this, it's also about fulfillment. Because you see, there is a big Jupiterian energy, even though Jupiter is in retrograde, there's a huge Jupiterian energy next to the moon, which is asking us to face also certain fears and certain, I suppose, hopefulness about worldviews, and maybe there's going to be some very high, far-fetched ideas coming from certain governments and from governmental members and representatives, not just this, from us people. There's going to be probably a very, very high quality life that we expect. Maybe there's going to be some very, very big paperwork signed during this time. Maybe people are saying, well, actually, I want to go to the next stage. And it's very ambitious. It's like about having the bigger pie, the bigger slice of pie. This is about wanting not just a little piece of paper, wanting a huge, giant desk of papers to sign, wanting to be not just a scrawny little guy over there, wanting to be supported, wanting to have lots of friends, and also lots of memories, because it is not actually just about, like, say, jealousy or envy or wishing to have more, being greedy or not yet fulfilled. Although yes, there is a huge part of that coming through. Some people's wishes and their desires and what they expect in life is not at all feasible right now, and it may be like a little bit foolish. It can actually also be trending, people expecting things that they are not entitled to during this particular moon. It's like, well, I expect to be signed to this brand, or I expect to be treated with respect, or I expect to be respected in such a way, that's very, very, very large, where, life is not going to give that. And it's like there are no prerequisites. And I'm also noticing some people have to understand where failure comes from, and it's sometimes having no root system, no grounding in a certain situation, and then saying, well, I expect this, so, people having no prerequisites, and having no ways or no smarts or no real wisdom or no tuition, um, nothing to help them gain that which they want. And just having this big all I want is sometimes something that works actually during a time like this, which is very interesting. Sometimes just stomping your foot and saying, well, I want, and I don't care if this doesn't make sense to anybody else, well, I want this. Sometimes, in some cases, that will work, which is unique. And in certain cases, I feel we have to go down low and be very, very quiet and think, is what I'm expecting out of life and other people, is what I am praying for a little bit far-fetched? Am I being greedy? Am I being power hungry? Am I being diminishing to another person in the picture? Yes, of course. We do have also Mars opposite Jupiter there in Uranus. There's going to be quite a big star energy, or there's going to be quite a big strategy devised by some people, by some governments, by some individuals that really want to be that now. So, like Mars next to the Sun, sometimes they can bring up wars, or they can bring up very, very strong experiences for some people. And yeah, in some ways, people may be telling fibs and telling incredible lies to get to that next place that they want to be in, and to make also others judge them in a way that has never been judged before. So this is where you have a person that is not able to be somewhere and shouldn't be somewhere, and has no prerequisites or has no guarantees in life, really. But because of their might and their anger and their hunger to get what they want, maybe they will. It's like a person turning up to a party, like crashing a party and saying, I deserve all of this. I want this. I want that. I deserve to be here. Like crashing a party, a person crashing somebody else's life or taking a chunk of something that doesn't belong to them, that sometimes kind of takes care of itself. And during this time, a certain type of gusto or eagerness, a lot of paperwork and a lot of protection, or a lot of money spent on certain type of lawyers and institutions and governmental organizations can actually lead a person to triumph, which means that some people might be cutting corners. So in terms of like the public system, also, anything on the news today as well, there might be quite a lot of fake, not necessarily fake, but kind of loopy paperwork, and not very genuine connection between things. But people are saying, I want what I want and I'll get what I want. And that sometimes makes sense, and it makes a very, very formidable and trustful future as well. You can even make friendships out of bullying people during this time. How about that? But then maybe it won't end. So also like understand how you enter a circumstance or how you get what you want may not actually necessarily be a good thing. So for example, if you're reliant on certain paperwork, if you have no human connection between things, if you have a very, very rough or tough worldview or an idea that you want to take flight during this time, and you want it more than you even want anything else in your life, like you're really, really driven, you're really focused, and you want to get this really big lump sum result, yes, you can potentially get that result, but in some cases, this may wipe you out, and it can actually be very, very difficult because life is fragile. The organic structure of life itself, of living here on this planet, isn't about tough and rough and having certain signatures on a piece of paper. It's actually about a certain type of love and care, and a certain type of gentleness, and a certain type of, I suppose, infrastructure underneath. So like say underneath the city there is an infrastructure, and maybe it comes from hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. So there is need to have a certain type of solid base, and to recognize as to how certain foundations and practices work in your life, so you don't have to rely on aggression or violence or a certain type of outcome to keep you sane or safe. you know. So a lot of people, in terms of like organization of territory, in terms of like keeping calm, we have to have more of a network of friends. We have to have a nice, humble, safe, and loving environment in order to give. And there is a lot of question of fertility and maybe potentially education, as we do have Jupiter and Moon conjunction, as we do definitely want it to last. So there are lots of people asking eventually, why is this crisis just leading to an extra grand crisis? Why is this leading me to a problem? It's like the reason is because it wasn't humble. It wasn't humble, it was unhumble. So any kind of life result that people are seeking today that is very unhumble and very righteous and very Martian, because we do have Sun conjunct the Mars over here, because of this Martian energy and this cruelty, there's not going to be a lot done without it, you know. So if you can imagine, there's going to be just an extreme of that reached eventually. So if you start any kind of platform in your life and it takes you some time and it takes you some passion, maybe some emotional or energetic violence to get there, you've got to fight others to get there, that's not going to close that. That's going to be part of the stew, like part of the meal. So in a sense, I'm guessing that quite a lot of people maybe need others to remind them, tap them on the shoulders, like, hey, that's cruel, or hey, that's violent, or that's actually very excessive what you're doing here. So excess can be seen also in terms of like sport and poetry and business, you know, anything. There's going to be an edginess to it, and sometimes it's better not to enter that edginess. But there are people that will claim that this way, you know. So Edmund Hillary, you know, for example, climbing Mount Everest, the first person to climb and successfully return, that was a very, very big thing for New Zealand. So, like, say, Edmund Hillary did that. I don't remember what year, but he did climb Everest, and he was a New Zealander. So that's a very, very simple way to understand what Mars conjunct Sun opposite Jupiter is going to do at this particular time, is going to really, really force us to do something grand. But then, like, what is left of the person? Now, this is quite intense. What are you left with? Like, what are you? Did you like that? You know, also losses, like for example, wartime losses, historical losses, people having nothing left. Also, it would be really, really nice to see where you are having a loss today. Where have you put in so much fire and so much energy and so much self-esteem, where you're now running out? So, for example, you could have a beautiful, wonderful family life while you have no time to yourself at all, and you actually forgot how to spend time with yourself. You know, or for example, you are claiming the next part of your life through teaching yourself guitar, and you're constantly playing and you're constantly on board and you're giving your guitar playing like 100%. But did you see what happened? You know, maybe some other things fade away from your life. Maybe you have a certain type of history of like addictions, or you want to get really, really good at something that's part of your addictive cycle. So there's like kind of a give and take that we need to see. And the big question is it really necessary? And this, I think, the better part of this particular time to me, recognizing that there are some forces that are not necessary in this picture. Is this really necessary? So this is also about the political arena, of course, as maybe some of this reading would probably help understand the next phase of the results that are got from what is going on in the world. Is this really necessary? And do you really have any idea how it works? So, for example, somebody buying the brand new sports car, they don't know how to drive, and that sports car is not really even brand new, or it's not that good for their roads, or maybe like they haven't done enough research. It's exactly like that. It's like buying something, it's like a cat in a bag, buying a cat in a bag and not actually knowing or realizing. So in terms of like sale and purchase, and also wanting to buy, it is possible to make very, very big, fruitful, and intensive sales during this time. It's like, for example, if you can imagine you are running a shop and you have an item that's almost like there as a kind of memory, or it has actually nothing really to do with anything. It's like you never thought you would ever sell this because it's too big. Like, for example, like my painting over here, you know, like my painting that I did some years ago. You know, it's like selling something like that. It's like you're selling something just in case you'd like to buy my painting, you can, because such is the stars. Yeah, so for example, you have many different items in your shop, and you have this novelty item that you don't think anybody would ever purchase. Bang! So this particular time, in this time of the world, it can sell, which is very interesting and unusual. But be careful with that. So, for example, you are buying something; it may not necessarily be what you need. It is just like buying a luxury vehicle that might not actually necessarily work for your roads. So basically, that's it. Anything else during this time? Safety first, once again, be aware of power and money and voicing that I want, and being very aware and karmically aware as to what it takes to be a part of something or somebody, not to sign necessarily any paperwork unless you really are obvious about it, unless it's really fruitful for you, and trying to stay calm and to that nice medium as we are going through eclipse time, and it's not going to be easy to undo certain global results. So, for example, at this moment, like dyeing your hair, getting tattoos, doing anything very excessive, like, I don't know, going to another country or promising something very big, signing some very big contracts or paperwork, I wouldn't do it unless you have a very good head on your shoulders and unless you really know where it's at. So there are only certain types of people that probably can benefit without any ache afterwards. So that's something that we need to remember. So thank you very much, and I hope this has been an informative video, and I wish you all the best in the coming month. Thank you so much. Enjoy, and I'll see you.